Okay, Prince Sosta, can you start, please?
Hello, and good afternoon from Nigeria. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're logging in from. This is Youth Gather Global. My name is Osita Nemeka. I'm the chairman of the Governing Council of Youth Gather Global, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to this very important program. Today is the International Literacy Day, designated by UNESCO in 1967 as an annual awareness day, which marks the importance of literacy to all countries, all cultures of the world. It takes place annually on September 8th. The International Literacy Day in 2021 focuses on literacy, teaching, and learning in the COVID-19 crisis and beyond, with a focus on the role of educators and changing teaching practices. This means that this year, the day is more relevant than ever to teachers and the challenges of teaching literacy that COVID-19 has brought for future-proof approaches to teaching that might be adopted. So the question is, why do we need International Literacy Day? Over 775 million adults and young people struggle with basic literacy, and two-thirds of this figure are women. Celebrating the International Literacy Day is a brilliant way to raise awareness of the value of literacy, to encourage children and adults alike to develop their literacy skills. This year, in particular, it is even more important to discuss literacy as thousands of schools have been closed globally and many adult literacy courses and classes also have to be suspended due to the pandemic. It is unclear what the impact of this year will have on literacy in long term. But one thing is clear, it is more important than ever to put the spotlight on literacy skills and encourage children and adults alike to develop them. Literacy is not just about educating, it is a unique and powerful tool to eradicate poverty and a strong means of social and human progress. How is Youth Gather Global celebrating the International Literacy Day? At Youth Gather Global, we have brought together all our country coordinators. We have put them together to come and share with the world what the individual countries are doing from their perspective. We have also brought for the first time to the world our Youth Gather Global Poet Laureate. Aditi will be here to share her poems with us and then share with us her, her visions for the youth in the future. So this year's literacy skill is important to Youth Gather Global as it brings the governing council, the board of trustees, and all members of all stakeholders and members of the team together to share with the world what International Literacy Day means to Youth Gather Global. As I welcome you all to this program, I call you all to join us in the 2021 World Youth International Literacy Day, and please share with Youth Gather Global all the ideas, contents, and context that you have as we're here meaningfully gathering 1 million global youth for the decade of action. Thank you very much. Okay. And now let's go straight to the opening plenary. I am inviting Her Excellency, Ambassador Victoria Sulamani, Deputy Permanent Representative, Vision of Sierra Leone to the United Nations. She will be speaking on literacy and digital skills at the heart of youth-centered recovery. Your Excellency.
Yeah, we're going to use that section to relay the message of UNESCO Secretary General.
Your Excellency.
The message
okay.
of UNESCO General.
Bonjour à tous. I'm delighted to join you to honor the laureates of UNESCO International Literacy Prizes.
Relay the message of UNESCO Secretary General.
Your Excellency.
The message.
The International Literacy Day is taking place this year in
I'm delighted to join you to
we're going to use that section to
literacy prizes.
relay the message of UNESCO Secretary General.
Your Excellency.
The message.
International Literacy Day is taking place this year in
I'm delighted to join you to
we're going to use that section to
literacy prizes.
relay the message of UNESCO Secretary General.
Your Excellency.
The message.
International Literacy Day is taking place
Are you hearing her?
to join you to
we're going to use that
Yes,
section
we
to
can hear her, but very lightly.
relay the message of UNESCO Secretary General.
Your Excellency.
The message.
International Literacy Day is taking place
Are you hearing her?
to join you.
Yes, but there's something on the background, like a recording. You can hear her, but very lightly.
The message of UNESCO Secretary General. The message. Are you better now?
No, there's something at the background. I think the recording of the ongoing program is playing back, and it's running her voice.
UNESCO Secretary
In the
General.
19th century.
The message.
I can hear my voice from the last presentation.
Are you better now?
This conviction
No, there's something at the background. I think the recording of the ongoing
Yeah, it's the YouTube. It's the YouTube.
The YouTube recording of my presentation is playing. I can hear my voice. No, there's from the last presentation.
Are you better now?
No, there's something at the background. I think the recording of the
Yeah, it's the YouTube. It's the YouTube.
The YouTube recording of my presentation is playing.
They are the most acquired basic skill
Are you better now?
and therefore lies for workers or women who have changed the
Yeah, it's the YouTube. It's the YouTube.
from Ghana to Mexico
Recording of my presentation is playing.
I don't have any television here.
those who have been unable to acknowledge, even though they work towards the same goal.
Yeah, it's the YouTube. It's the YouTube.
From Ghana to Mexico. Lastly, I would like to thank the governments of the
I don't know what to do to this YouTube now.
Is the ambassador ready? Her Excellency ready?
Not yet. Not yet. When she comes, I'll let you know. They are the UN General Assembly.
Okay, Professor Ebiozo, have you seen him? He was logging in now. Did you see him there?
Give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Greetings. Okay. It's my lord. Only.
Hassan, can you mute yourself, please?
Because I'm not a chancellor of the council. Okay. Mr. Foster.
Professor Obiozo, can you please come over to the panelists? I've just promoted you. Hassan, you have to mute yourself, please. You are distracting.
So are we taking the professor now?
Yes.
Madam Chancellor?
Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor William Obiozo, the Director of the Center for Disability and Special Needs Research, Sendasna, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State of Nigeria. The professor will be speaking on embracing diverse solutions for distance, face-to-face, and hybrid learning literacy. Professor Obiozo. Professor? Professor Obiozo?
He is still an attendee, and he has to admit himself he has been promoted. Prof, can you log out and log in again?
Can he hear you?
Sign out and come in again. Or you use your panelist login that was sent to your email.
Yeah, I told him to do that already. I don't know what happened.
Okay, we can go on to Gabriel. When he comes in, we'll come over instead of wasting time.
Okay, let's pray that the professor joins us at the panelists arena so that we can continue with our program. Next, I want to invite someone from the same college, somebody who has been quite young, but has been very well involved in digital literacy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Gabriel Chidebere Alonta. He's the full-time faculty of business education in the Department of Technology and Vocational Education, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State of Nigeria. Gabriel will be speaking to us on the integration of learning of reading and writing skills and digital skills. Welcome, Gabriel Chidebere Alonta.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but it's very faint.
Very faint. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, Dr. Osita, please kindly repeat the topic that I'm to take on, please.
I'm repeating your topic.
Yes, I did get that.
Your presentation, yes, it's integration of learning of reading and writing skills and digital skills.
Okay, thank you very much. Good
Yes,
afternoon
sir.
from here, Nigeria. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good morning. And thank you for having me. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please switch off all other devices so that we can hear you better. There's an echo. Go ahead now, please.
Is the echo still on?
Go ahead. Yes, there's an echo.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, I am here to talk on the topic assigned to me in relation to Nigeria or my immediate environment. Well, this year 2021 theme of literacy for a youth-centered recovery, narrowing the digital divide. I think I can still hear the echo.
Something is wrong with your connectivity. Can you manage it properly, please?
Yeah, just a moment. Just a moment. Is it better now?
It's your device, your phone device on. You can put it on mute.
Yes, I've done that now. So I think it's okay now.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay.
Yes. And incline your vision so that we can see you.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So the theme of this year's International Literacy Day is of monumental importance, especially to us this part of the world, Nigeria in particular. Well, as an educator who mentors young ones, both in the urban and the rural areas in Nigeria, we have often come across many challenges which can hamper literacy. And when we talk about literacy, yes, it is reading and writing skills, but in this present dispensation, when someone can read and write and doesn't have any digital skill, is that person still an illiterate or illiterate? So these questions become so pertinent, because when we consider a lot of rural dwellers here in Nigeria and my state where I am, Anambra State, those who are living in hinterlands, those who are living in the rural communities, you see that in fact, when you are talking of bridging this gap among them, it becomes so difficult because of obvious reasons. Nigeria, no doubt, has been marred by a lot of bad governance. This has shortchanged a lot of masses. Why do I say this? I recall when I was in a state in Nigeria, Kwara State, I happened to volunteer to teach there for 1 year. So when I was in that community, now this issue is not because we are talking about digital literacy too. We want to close the gap now. Now, when you come to some of the communities in Nigeria, especially in the rural areas, you see that you find it difficult to even make a phone call, not to talk of using a blended learning approach or pedagogy to teach these children or these youth. It takes a lot of sacrifice for even you, the teacher, to be in such community. It is because I and some other persons volunteered to be in such community. That was why we had to stay back and ensure that we try to bridge this gap. First of all, in Nigeria, for instance, some of the issues, some of the challenges that we are facing is not all about the literacy. Yes, literacy, yes, for such people there, but some of them, yes, they are there, they can have these literacy skills, but the issue is, do we have people to also teach them? Where I volunteer sometime in Nigeria, Kwara State, precisely. We found out that even the teachers who are meant to teach these younger ones, the teachers they refuse. First, when they are posted to teach them, due to the poor road network and obvious lack of infrastructure, you see them, declining carrying out this responsibility. So in that case, they are creating more gaps or lacuna among these children. And now the challenge there in such case is, what can we do and how can we make sure that teachers help us in bridging this literacy awareness, in bridging this literacy gap among youths and even children, most especially in the rural communities in Nigeria. For me, I asked some questions when I was there, when I volunteered for this 1-year experience. Though not so wonderful in terms of you gaining anything, but because you have touched a number of lives, you are happy that you are touching lives. I think that is paramount. And when you come to Nigeria case, where our leaders seem to have failed us, most of teachers in Nigeria are no longer willing to make any sacrifice to ensure or towards ensuring that these literacy gaps are filled. What am I saying? Due to bad governance in our own climate here, a lot of people are crying foul over such condition that our government have put us into. For instance, now let me bring it also home again to where I am a faculty member. For instance, we are talking about the Vice Chancellor of the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, in his wisdom, approved that every lecture be done in a blended learning model or teaching model. What do I mean? That we can combine both physical and electronics while we deliver our lectures and while we mentor children and youth, especially for us in universities where we have a lot of youth under us. But now when you come again among these youths now, you find out that they don't even have the wherewithal. Most of them don't have these items, these technologies, smartphones to even log in. When you try to do it, whether via Zoom or via WhatsApp, most of them won't join. Why? They don't have the means to join. When you ask them why, you hear the issue that they don't even have money to buy cell phone. You also you hear from them too that they don't have money. With those that have money, some of them that have the smartphone, some of them will tell you that they don't have the data to subscribe. And now we are talking about using, after the COVID-19 brouhaha with its attendant, pitfalls or whatever, though they are gains. One of the gains of COVID could be using these digital means. But in a situation and in a country like Nigeria, where we don't even have, where people, the beneficiaries, suppose, for instance, we are talking of youths here, people who are supposed to, so key into this initiative to bridge this gap, to ensure quality, inclusive education for all, and to ensure that no one is left behind. Some of them, due to obvious reasons of dwelling or bordering on poverty or lack of, poverty per se, when you see that some of them cannot, they will tell you that they have not even paid some of their fees, tuition fees, not to talk of getting a good phone and, subscribing it to attend lectures, So in such situation, when we now look at it with the theme of this year, International Day, Literacy Day, it becomes another challenge again to us this side, because you see that these children, yes, the faculty members may be willing to use this digital means to, bridge this gap, this divide among the learners. But you find out that some of them will have learner factors that they don't even have some of these resources and facilities to also key into the initiative. Then we talk hear me? Am I still hard?
Please go
Can
ahead.
you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much.
You have just a couple of minutes to go. 2 more minutes, please.
All right. So we still have poor connectivity and even electricity, epileptic power supply. So when these are challenges, and for us who are faculty members who try as much as possible to even put in our own resources, personal resources, to bridge this gap, it becomes a problem. And now, for me, part of the solution is that our leaders in this part of the world should become more responsible and responsive to their duties. They should make sure that they provide these amenities to help us. Here in Nigeria, sorry about the interruptions, I think it's network. Yeah, you hear people saying here that the education in Nigeria is, in fact, is at admissible level. But when you look at it, there are persons making honest efforts, to put in their best, especially to accommodate, to provide all-inclusive education, teaching, so that we can carry everyone along, both those in the rural community and those in urban centers in Nigeria. Yes, even those in urban centers are feeling the heat. How much more those who are in the rural community, who don't even have the means, who don't have this technology? How do we reach and how do we, ensure that they will also carry that along in such situation? So on a day like this, when I ruminated over this topic and over the team and also over the day, I set aside to mark this literacy awareness. I think it is also a call for that everyone should make honest and conscientious efforts to ensure that we bridge this gap, especially after the fallout of COVID-19, which grossly affected us, closed down our institution, even though we are opening up now. But there are things that we have lost, and we can only make it up through these electronics by using such means as blended learning to bridge this gap. But we still have this fundamental issue, the basic issues of infrastructural and facilities being available. That's why we say that beyond what we can do as faculty members, there's also a need for government to also make honest effort at providing whatever they should, so that we can really bridge this gap existing in our society, most especially in the rural part of communities in Anambra and Nigeria at large. I thank you all for the rest.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gabriel. Thank you for your brilliant enunciation of technology and literacy problems in Africa. And I want to also say that you have so very kindly brought that to the surface, and YOUTHGETHER Global will be very willing to, to take that further. And now we are happy to announce that even though technology was very disturbing there, Professor William Obiozo of the Center for Disability and Special Needs Research of the Nnamdi Azikiwe University has joined us. I want to invite the professor now to talk to us about embracing diverse solutions for distance, face-to-face, and hybrid learning literacy. Professor Obiozo.
Thank you very much.
And Professor, please, before you start, can you get something to cover the lights from behind you, the light from your window, so that we can see your brilliant. That's good, sir. Very good, sir. Thank you so much.
Is it okay now?
Yes, thank you so much. And then speak to your microphone, Professor Obiozo. Welcome.
I have to first of all apologize for this paper, because I actually had to change the theme, because along the line, based on where I am now at the Center for Disability and Special Needs Research, I kind of tried to put together something that will inspire me and inspire people in literacy and special needs.
Professor Obiozo, we're having difficulties hearing you here. Just speak to.
I said again,
Okay, brilliant. That's good. Very good.
I said that I have to apologize because I had to adjust the theme, the topic, because I am trying to see how I can bring an interface between Sendasna, which is the Center for Disability and Literacy, to to the surface. What do I mean by that? As an adult educator and community literacy organizer at Nnamdi Azikiwe University and the Global Society, I decided to crave your indulgence to look at inspiration for Sendasna Special Needs Literacy Program. I wouldn't know if that will fall into what is expected of me, but I bet since we are celebrating International Literacy Day, we may be able to see what we can get out of it. That is inspiration for Sendasna Special Needs Literacy Program, which I believe is a call for literacy support for people with disabilities as we celebrate World Literacy Day. Sendasna stands for Center for Disability and Special Needs Research, which caters for the education and welfare of persons with disability, students, staff, and others within the university community and environment. Today, September 8, 2021, we reiterate the importance of and also to celebrate and observe the International Literacy Day, which draws the attention of all and sundry to the plight of illiterate persons, illiterate communities, as well as appraise and promote literacy abilities worldwide. The importance of our basic human rights to literacy is celebrated and observed on International Literacy Day. International Literacy Day takes place on September 8th every year to raise awareness and concerns for literacy problems that exist within our own local communities, as well as globally. Of course, we all know how it was founded in 1966, and then from 1967, Literacy Day celebration, International Literacy Day celebration started to be observed by different advocates and different societies. Now, the concept of literacy, covering reading, writing, arithmetic, and socialization, have not changed. Instead, more emphasis are being made on the need for the developed and developing societies to promote literacy across the globe so that citizens can be liberated from the shackles of ignorance, disease, slavery, unemployment, bad leadership, youth restlessness, corruption, and underdevelopment. Furthermore, it is important to know that we are reminding the international community on the importance of literacy for individuals, communities, and societies, and the need for intensified efforts in improving the literacy levels of every nation for a better society. Now, of course, what is literacy? That is already known, the reading, writing, and arithmetic and socialization. Yes, so that's part of it. But again, we are looking at a situation whereby people are able to read postings and spend time reading online, learn from other people living and working within their own community, and also be able to read a book, read a restaurant menu, a road sign, a voting ballot, an instructional manual, a prescription bottle label, to understand information on a bank's ATM, etc. Can you imagine navigating modern day society or this world without having the ability to read basic things or get into direction or write down information which will aid the person to survive the environment they find themselves in. Several countries have made reasonable milestones in promoting literacy, but in as much as progress has been made in some quarters, improving literacy rates in the more than 50 years since the first International Literacy Day, illiteracy still remains a global problem. So when we look at the statistics, there are some statistics here. I may not bore you with so much, but in recent times, and from the UNESCO reports, World Bank, and other research-based institutions, 1 in 5 persons or in number of students who suffer from learning differences, 90% could be seen as the percentage of the literacy rate globally for all males. 82.7%, the percentage of literacy rate for globally for all females. 34.7%, that's the percentage of illiteracy among people aged 15 and above in sub-Saharan Africa. This is part of the report that came out in 2019. Of course, there are more reports that are coming out every day, but they all have something to do with creating more awareness about the need for literacy. In this post-COVID era, International Literacy Day celebrations should be to turn its focus toward the literacy skills necessary to navigate the digital mediated societies, especially for persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities equally see literacy as a blessing, often taken for granted. A person with disability perceives reading, writing, computing, and socializing as essential to their daily lives. They too cannot navigate through the world without being able to read or write. This is challenging and is a blockade for expressing so many things in the community that we live in today. So International Literacy Day, organizations and individuals take charge and use their literacy to encourage and assist those who are facing difficulties on how to read and write. Students and employed people volunteer to tutor children in the community. Books are generously donated to libraries. Even student tuitions and learning are sponsored to launch their lifelong success. I mean, these are some of the expectations that we are looking forward to as we celebrate World Literacy Day. Yeah. And one will ask, can this happen in Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and other parts of West Africa where we are celebrating this? So it becomes food for thought for us. What are the things that we can do today aside from the Zoom meeting to mark International Literacy Day? Of course, we can donate books to local classrooms. We can donate reading materials to children with disabilities. We can donate toys to children with disabilities and children that have a natural gift. We can start a community lending library within our community. I know. We love that these little libraries are accessible 24/7 and there are never any late fees or fines to people who are seeking knowledge. If I should go on and on, let me also share this when we talk about the statistical information. Ghana is said to have 74% of the rate. Nigeria 63%, Togo 51%, Mauritania 43%. But let's look at the most ranking African countries when it comes to literacy rate. Seychelles, or Seychelles, like they call it, 95. Equatorial Guinea, 95. South Africa, 95. Sao Tome and Principe, 92. Libya, irrespective of what they are passing through, 91. Namibia, 91, Mauritius, 91, and Cape Verde, 88. Nigeria's name is not on this. We have Botswana, 88, and Swaziland and Zimbabwe, 57. So furthermore, 7 African countries, including Sierra Leone, need more than half of the population. In fact, more than half of the population is illiterate. Almost all of them are in West Africa, all these countries. Niger, for example, with an adult literacy rate of only 15%. And Guinea, of course, we all know what happened to Guinea recently. The rate is 25%. You see, they have the lowest literacy rate. As of 2018, according to Verala 2020, the rate among men living in rural areas of Nigeria reached roughly 60%, whereas female literacy rate in the same areas was 35%. The gap in urban Nigeria amounted to about 10% points. In West Africa, the highest female literacy rates are said to be registered in Cape Verde and Ghana, while Nigeria ranks fourth. Distinguished participants, if we have the figures presented on literacy rate for the population across the world, you can imagine how persons with disabilities seeking knowledge and literacy skills could be. Those with different disabilities require special education services in order to obtain knowledge and literacy skills to be able to live in the society and enjoy lifelong education. It is on this premise that one will therefore query why literacy is important in special education. It is important because we need it to assess, monitor, and track the word recognition or decoding skills. And
Professor Bielsa, you have 2 minutes to go, please.
Okay. Of course, the issue of listening, speaking, and writing brings in literacy specialists or adult educators who can present some of these trainings to the people with disabilities in the society. Now, let me quickly talk about some of the expected strategies that we can use to ensure that people with special needs benefit in their literacy classroom. Forming of small groups, create classroom centers, blend the basics with more specialized instruction, embracing technology, use of technology tools and resources, ICT programs, rotation of lessons, trying thematic instruction, provide different levels of books and material. So why do we really need this literacy for persons with disabilities? It contributes to their brain health. The daily workout, reading and writing and working with numbers keeps the brain cells healthy as we age. Reduces the chances of even people without disabilities developing Alzheimer's and dementia later in life. Community participation is one of them. Effective communication in the community. Employment and advancement, because once we know how to read and write and calculate and use technology, we'll be able to excel in our activities. Of course, knowledge is power. Literacy is the key to personal empowerment. It gives us personal dignity and self-worth. Mr. Chairman, sir, I want to seize this opportunity. I know I don't have much time left. To urge everyone to continue to advocate for illiterate persons so that they embrace literacy, and for the literate persons to advance in the act of reading, writing, and calculation within and outside our environment, as well as people with special needs in the society. We all deserve knowledge and literacy skills to survive this post-COVID-19 era. Let me stop here for the moment. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. Professor William Obiozo is the director for the Center for Disability and Special Needs Research at the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, Anambra State of Nigeria. Next, we are going over to the UK. We'll be listening to Surviving and Thriving in a Digital Learning Environment. And this is from John Savage, the digital lead, supporting organizations and individuals in digital transformation. Welcome to International Literacy Day, John Savage. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zita, and thank you everybody for this opportunity to come. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fine, yeah, good.
Talk a little louder, Joe, please. Thank you.
Okay, I will talk a bit louder. Is that better now? Is that better now?
Yes, you're good now. Thank you, sir. Yes.
Very good.
Brilliant. Thank you. It's enough.
Brilliant, yeah. I have a few slides. I don't know whether I can share my screen. Don't worry if not, but I don't know if I could be given screen sharing ability. Is that possible? Don't worry if not. Oh, thank you.
You have it.
Madam Chancellor.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chancellor, can you share screen, please?
Yeah, that's good. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Do you see one screen or two or three screens?
Just one.
Just the one, yeah. Lovely. Great. Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to come to your event and to join with you in celebrating Literacy Day, which is obviously a very key movement which I really support, and I'm very, very thankful for this opportunity to come and share just some thoughts, really. I have very little experience of Africa. I had the pleasure once of coming to South Africa and teaching for a few weeks in a Zulu township with some students from the UK, and I had an amazing experience of that. I'm hoping you can still hear me okay, Doctor. Just wave at me if you can't. Is it okay? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Fine, yeah, good. So I would like to share with you some thoughts from.
Go ahead, John.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'd just like to share with you some thoughts from my experience of working in a digital environment, and I hope they might be useful. I will come back to how this fits in with literacy in a few moments, but I think it's a really exciting time for Africa as to how to make sure we're ready for the world that we're going into, and our young people are going into. I have 6 children in the UK. I have 1 in primary school, 2 and 3 in secondary school, 1 in college, 1 in university. So I get to see firsthand just the environment that our young people are growing up in as they try to navigate their way through a world which is very, very different than the world I grew up in. And so I hope this presentation will just give you a few thoughts. It's not any advice or any answers, because I think you have those already. But I can share with you some things that I'm learning on the adventure. And I'm calling it an adventure because depending on how you look at this, you can either look at digitization or literacy as a major challenge, or you can also look at it as a major opportunity. And that's a choice as to what perspective you take. So one of my favorite quotes is this one, which is, "In times of change, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists." And I guess that's always been true. Before we had books, illiteracy or not being able to understand really was or not being able to read or write was a major disadvantage. And that's what we're doing today. We're really focusing on that. But I'd also like you to think about the fact that we are going into a world that is very, very different than the world in which we first started to understand how to read and write. And I also like to think about learning as opposed to education. Literacy really is about, or learning is really fundamentally about the transfer of wisdom and knowledge from one person to another. And we do that mostly with our parents and our grandparents and people around us, our tribe, our people. The whole purpose of literacy is in sharing information and wisdom between each other. And when we couldn't do that with the people around us, and we needed to get the knowledge from further away, so people put their thoughts and ideas down onto paper and sent the paper, and then someone read the paper. But fundamentally, the whole point of literacy is to transfer wisdom from one person to another. And I think in a digital age, the way we do that is very different than on paper and on reading and writing. So I think literacy in the context of the world that we're going into is quite a bit bigger than just this whole concept of reading and writing. That's absolutely critical. But I think we can also step back a little and think about it more in terms of how do we communicate information and wisdom and knowledge and understanding between people. And that's really interesting. So the world is very different. The rate of change is getting quicker and quicker. And the world that I know is not the world that you know, and will not be the world that any of our learners will know about. We all live in a very, very different world. So I just want to share with you, if you can imagine this as a journey into a landscape that we've never been before, I'd like to just share with you a few thoughts or ideas that I've learned in my journey and see if they're useful to you. I've got 5 things I want to say very, very quickly. I'll try and be quick. 5 things, tips, ideas that might be of benefit to you as you go forward into this journey of literacy in a new world, in a modern world that we live in. And this focus on learning as opposed to focus on education is really important. You know, digital has just brought a much more accelerated divergence between what is learning and what is education. And the focus now needs to be much more on what are we learning, how can we learn. The whole education system, certainly in the United Kingdom, is based on memorization of facts. Those facts are now available completely free of charge at the tip of your fingers in a digital world. We talk about books. You know, I can have potentially 5,000 books on my mobile phone. So it's not just about reading, but which of the books should I be reading? What is important? So we're having to go back to look at fundamental steps about learning and about what actually am I devoting all of this precious time I've got to. You know, yes, I might be able to learn to read and write, but actually, what am I reading? What am I writing? And is that the best method for transmitting information? So I would really focus on learning. I would spread your net much wider. I would, so much learning is out there for free in lots of different forms. So extend one's network of where you get your learning from is really important. I would also, this is perhaps a bit controversial, but I would focus on questioning everything. Culturally, this can be a big challenge. But the wisdom and the limitations of previous generations don't necessarily translate into the world that I'm in or you're in. So don't assume anything, think from first principles, and don't assume that anything from the West will work for Africa. It's probably more like the other way around. Not what we do works. A lot of what we do doesn't work. A lot of the countries and education systems that are held up to be the best in the world, if you take off the cover, you'll see that it's far from the case. So question everything, have a question in your mind, be curious. Also use what's there already. Don't reinvent the wheel. The tools for making the wheels are very cheap. So use what's there already. Don't invest in expensive ways of learning. One of the presenters earlier on spoke very well about hybrid working and about remote working and about online learning and creating all this content. Most of the content that you need has already been made by someone else and been done to a far better quality than we can ever produce. I work in a university. I used to produce all my own notes and handouts for my students, but now I can provide all of that stuff for free at a far better quality than I could ever produce. So the role of educators has changed fundamentally from curators of knowledge to more looking after it and managing it and doing something very different. So it's a very different kind of literacy in that world. So use what's there already. And also it's very much, digital just makes things much more quicker. It makes it much more quicker to make mistakes. And you can easily create huge amounts of content which are obsolete very, very quickly. So I would really encourage people not to try and create lots of new content, but explore what's there already. I've actually got jumped one here, but this is my sort of point here about this should be number 4 actually. So my literacy skills are not very good. They should read number 4. But be persistent. It's painful to be an early adopter. We're going to make an awful lot of mistakes as we go into this world of digital literacy. Be kind to yourself, be kind to your friends. We will fail often, and therefore we need to try and make sure we have the right mindset to handle that. Also, be persistent. The people who you will be working with will resist the change. Expect conflict, but learn how to manage that. Quite often you meet a lot of resistance when you're moving into a digital skill or digital literate world, because you will be, for example, many jobs will change, many roles will change. The role of teachers will change, the role of educators will change. Every role is changing. And so we've got to be very, very kind to ourselves, kind to our friends around us. Teachers try and do the best they can. I know that with my teachers in school. Often the pupils are more digital literate than the teachers. That is a new challenge for teachers in that world. And my last point, so I don't go on too long, would be to really enjoy the journey that you're on. This journey of becoming more and more literate in a digital world, it's a long journey. So I would really encourage you to sort of not think about this as something that we've got to get to. Once we get to this point, everything's going to be fine. It isn't like that. It is a continuous journey. There is no sudden moment when now I'm literate, the whole world opens up. It is a journey that we're on, where we're constantly having to relearn and learn new skills all the time. So enjoy it. And most of all, I think, particularly as a teacher or as a lecturer in a university, digital enables us to create amazing opportunities for young people. I imagine often a barometer in England tells the difference between the weather when it's going to be bad weather and good weather. And often in our teaching and in our learning environments, things are either on one end of the spectrum very, very boring or very, very fun. And we've got to work very, very hard to make sure that everything that we do is more and more fun and more enjoyable for our pupils, our teachers. So if you're doing things that are not fun, are absolutely very, very boring, we have to really question, is this the right way to be doing it? And can I do something differently? So I would really encourage us to enjoy the journey. And lastly, I'd like to just thank you very much for listening. I hope this brings over a few ideas, perhaps not quite in line with all of the topics we'll hear about today, because the focus is on literacy. But I really feel like we are, we have a sport called hockey, and in hockey you have to skate. You have to skate to where the puck is, okay? And many people skate to where the puck is, but the real best players skate to where the puck will be. It's where it's going to be. We're moving at such a pace. Africa has a real opportunity to skate to where the puck will be. What will learning and education look like in the future? It's not skating, it's not copying what's done in the West, it's not copying what's done in any other country. The world is moving very, very quickly, and you can jump over many of the things that we've struggled with. So like you've done with mobile technology, you've jumped mobile banking, many things. Africa is able to jump over a lot of the existing things that are no longer relevant in the world that we live in today. So I would really encourage you to think for yourselves, get the questions, understand the questions, understand the challenges, but everything is very contextual to what you're doing in your country. And so perhaps I'll just lastly leave you with this encouragement to take good courage, be disciplined, learn, devote yourself to learning from people who, often from mistakes of others, but actually also the best way, as Abraham Lincoln said, to predict your future is to create it. Be leaders, don't just follow, do what's right for your country, and use that barometer of whether things are boring or fun, to really test yourself as to whether what is it that we're doing, and have a care for our children, our young people. They are, we owe it to them to spend as much time as we can to ensure that the world they're going into is a happier one, and not one that's more, if you like, more just carrying on the old but doing it better. One of the armies in the world has this saying, there's no good way of carrying out a bad plan. So we've got to make sure both that the plan is right, but also the way of getting there is. So thank you very much for listening, and I do hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you very much, John. When I knew you were coming to this program, I knew we were in for something else. I want to thank you very much on behalf of YouthGether Global for your very excellent exposition. And just to let you know too, John, that YouthGether Global is going to come back to you again. We are going to keep talking about what you just raised now. I saw that you very, very carefully selected learning in place of education. That's what we're going to talk about too. Thank you so much, John. Next, I want to get over to the governance part. We want to talk about good governance and partnership for technology-enabled literacy and learning. And I want to invite Reverend Diego Alfonso of Macban Arts. Reverend, the stage is yours. You're on mute, Reverend. Can you please unmute your microphone so that we can hear you? Thank you.
Sure, sorry about that. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am very honored this afternoon to be a part of this very August webinar, and being very conscious of our time constraints, I will just be sharing with you for a few minutes on the topic mentioned. And so I cannot take credit for all that I will share. Actually, I have a very good colleague in Guyana. He's the Chief Education Officer here in Guyana. And he recently wrote a book actually called Born to Succeed. And incidentally, it addresses the whole issue of literacy. So I'll be sharing some excerpts from that book. And I am sure, or I'm hoping that it will be in some way considered significant to our webinar this afternoon. And so the inability of children to grasp literacy concepts in the early stages of their elementary school lives is inextricably bound to their advancement in academia and ultimately affects their well-being, which we know. And so Born Freud, 2012, he says that failure to obtain necessary literacy skills in the early grades undermines children's ability to succeed in school and life as they move into the later grades and experience difficulty understanding and achieving in the content areas. And so several studies have been conducted providing a panoramic view of the economic, social, and educational implications of the poor literary performance of primary level students, as well as some positive measures that may be employed concerning changing the status quo. One study estimates that illiteracy costs the global economy more than $1 trillion a year, and this cost is particularly manifested in the loss of earnings and limited employability, loss of business productivity, and loss of wealth creation opportunities for individuals and business. And this is according to the World Literacy Foundation 2015. This study also alluded to issues such as crime, welfare, and health, among others, that result from illiteracy. And so that's by way of introduction, but Dr. Hudson, in his book, Born to Succeed, is of the firm view that real change will not be forthcoming by traditional leadership practices such as democratic, autocratic, or laissez-faire, to name a few. While there is a place for democracy, he says, the majority is not always right. It is therefore dangerous to assume this posture in dealing with the future lives of our children. An autocratic approach is much worse in that it stifles creativity and innovation in an education setting. This leadership creates tension and ultimately leads to rebellion and unwanted behavior in the school setting. Laissez-faire leaders try to give the least possible guidance to subordinates. The belief that people will function better when they are given a chance to fulfill their duties by employing their strategies and methodologies could be a farce. What is needed, he says, is a leadership that seeks to change systems through people. Here is where transformational leadership is extremely necessary. The school system needs leadership that embraces inspiration, vision, empowerment, and commitment of individuals with a common agenda. As it relates to partnerships and the importance or the significance of partnerships in addressing literacy, the active partnerships in mitigating the dangers of poor literacy performance of students in the early grades must be embraced. It is through a unified course of action involving all stakeholders after being empowered by effectively deliver the school's literacy programs as a result of exposure to holistic training in the literacy that transformation will be realized. Of course, we must as well mention and touch on technology, because teachers' versatility to use a variety of methodologies, including technology in the classroom, makes them viable assets as instructional leaders. In the classroom, the potential advantages of incorporating technological advances into advancing literacy are numerous, including aiding the teachers to deal with the diverse requirements of the students arising from their differences in academic status, lingual, and literacy skills. The crux of the matter is technology opens doors to teaching literacy skills in ways not available to us from only books and other traditional print sources. For example, the integration of computer instruction in the literacy classroom, students will be motivated to read and actively participate in lessons, and by extension, student achievement is assured. And so, being cognizant of my time and skipping a whole lot of material here, but in conclusion, the issue of poor literacy performance of students in schools is a grave one. What is essential is the mobilization of persons to rally around this cause through the implementation of even more training programs or seminars. Dr. Hudson recognizes that in any part of the world, funding will be critical in attaining the transformation in the literacy performance of students as set out in the book. He therefore states in his book that as a consequence, international organizations such as UNICEF and UNESCO, to name a few, can be extremely useful in this regard. These organizations over the years have been noted for their philanthropic work worldwide. It is his view that arguments and views expressed in the book are convincing enough to set the platform for a significant transformation in improving the literacy performance of students worldwide. And so, even as we observe this Day of Literacy, we are very cognizant of the key points and areas that we're trying to highlight in our endeavors here today as it relates to good governance, partnerships, incorporation of technology, and all the rest of it. And so we believe that at the end of this, after we would have pooled all our knowledge and resources, we believe that together, as we continue to network and partner, that it can make a difference, one day at a time, one child at a time, one human being at a time. Thank you for listening. We're not hearing you, Doc. Your mic is off this time.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Reverend Diego Alfonso. Of course, we'll take good governance and partnership for literacy enabled learning and take that one day at a time, one time at a time, and one community at a time. I want to thank you very especially, the man from Magban Arts. You have done so very well, leading us through this aspect of the program. And now for the panelist plenary, I'm going to invite the Secretary General of YOUTHGETHER Global, who is going to moderate this very important plenary for today, Her Royal Highness Princess Shepi Matlan. Princess Shepi.
Thank you very much, Your Highness Prince Dr. Osita, and thank you very much to Dr. all excellencies, all professors. My goodness, now things are starting to happen on my computer. My word. Jesus. Am I still back? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Your Highness. Okay,
You're
go ahead.
back.
You're here now. Yes, you're back.
Right.
Welcome back.
Right. I thought I was frozen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are still short of one panelist. I don't know if it's Cornelius here.
Miss Cornelius, can you be on video so that we can spot you out?
Cornelius is here.
Cornelius Chimwani, where are you from Kenya?
Abioli James. While Abioli James, I haven't seen him from Ghana. If he is under a different name, can he please also?
I've not seen him, and I've called him. I'm not reaching out.
I've not seen him too.
Right.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you very much. We will dive, and thank you to all the speakers that giving us the to nibble on. Use the nuggets. Thank you very much.
Cornelius Chimwani, can you come on board?
Hello.
Cornelius. Cornelius. Is Cornelius here?
Cornelius is on.
Anyway.
I'm trying. You have to be on video, Cornelius, please. You need to be spotted out.
Cornelius. Switch video on, Cornelius, so that you can be put on the spotlight. While we are still sorting out Cornelius, we are going to have all our YOUTHGETHER coordinators in the region of Africa. We have South Africa, Tembisile Mahua. We have Al Hassan Koroma from Sierra Leone. We have Cornelius Chimwani from Kenya. And Miss James that are driving what we are doing. These are the great minds that we are glad to be working with so that we can be able to learn from them. I like what John Salvage said, that the world is ready to learn from Africa. Africa, you have a lot to give to the world. And these are the minds that we would like to bridge this generational gap. We are speaking about the generation of the 21st century, the digital generation. We ourselves, the gray hair, and here I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about everybody else, but not me. So we need them to bring the energy that they are on. And we're still bridging them as well with all intents and purposes and knowing that we have something to learn from one another. The elder generation, they are holding the baton. They have the experience, they have the tested experience that has worked. And John Salvage has already mentioned, we need to be persistent and we need to know that this is the generation of change, that there's going to be change throughout our lives, that whatever that we thought it was normal, and it is a constant, the only constant that we can really bet upon is the change. So I'm going to be dwelling much on his presentation. I loved it very much. It speaks to both, and it speaks to you as well, and him also making even relations to the youth, to the teachers, to the universities, and of which I can see my panelists are at that age range. So Thembisile, will you please just take 2 minutes and give us your introduction?
Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Am I audible? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, SG, Princess Tepi. I am Thembisile Mahua from South Africa, and I am the country coordinator for YouthGETHER South Africa. And, you know, this is a very, very important day for us. And the speakers that have spoken before have really set the tone, you know, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm just introducing myself, right, Princess Tepi? Not my presentation.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Just...
I am a final year law student with the University of South Africa, and I really do believe in a literate society, and this in also in my studies with the law, I ensure that the community that I live in is also sensitized and are literate with regards to laws or regulations, you know, because that's something that has not really been understood, and you know, we really need to be literate, you know, in that sense as well. So I think it's a very important topic, and I'm really excited to be part of this session today. Thank you so much, Princess Tepi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thembisile Mahua, which soon we will be saying Council Mahua, Council Thembisile. Can we hear from Cornelius? Have we lost you? Cornelius?
Hello. I'm back.
Cornelius, will you just give us your introduction? 2 minutes, thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Actually, I am having trouble with my network here, but I'm back in case if you can be able to hear me. Okay, my name is Cornelius Achimani from Kenya, and I'm so much happy to be here today. It is my humble submission that this day really touches my career. Of course, I am a finalist, a student of education, and learning about literacy actually is what is making me be where I am. And I would really like to inspire my fellow youth that let's embrace education so that we can be able to have a say in our society, so that we can uplift our society wherever it is. Let's change the status of our society from where it is to, let me say, to a better place where we all aspire to be. In Kenya, actually, a good number, I can say a good number of youths are taking education serious, and the government is really supporting us. And we would like to have more and more. We know it cannot go for everybody. Not everybody has the advantage of getting education. So we come together and help each other so that we ensure that we are working together. Thank you. I will be speaking more and we shall be interacting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Al Hassan Koroma from Sierra Leone. You have 2 minutes, sir, to give us your introduction.
Okay, greetings all, and greetings to my humble mommy, Dr. Ada Okita. Well, my name is Ambassador Alassane Koroma, the country coordinator for YouthGETHER Global. And I'm so honored to be here today, part of this conference, this Zoom conference. I really learned a lot from this. My introduction, I'm just simple because I'm a youth activist and a youth ambassador. towards the set topic. I know what the essence of this topic is. But by the effort of YOUTHGETHER, we can see how best we can handle some of these issues that our speaker have highlighted. Because in my country, Sierra Leone, where I probably know about, pertaining this game is really challenging. But we can see how best we can minimize those things. Just like one of the speakers said, thinking of the literacy rate in our country is very poor. So how best we can tackle that? It is very challenging in my own country. So going forward, I will discuss more about it. So this is what
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Al Hassan, I don't know if you can try and hold. We hardly heard all the, but one thing that I can give you, you're taking a #1 spot today for the nice gear. The YOUTHGETHER t-shirts. We are really clapping for you. We are clicking for you and your team. But for now, I think we just need to see you and hear you properly, because we know that you have a lot to give to us. So maybe the team will be on the camera later on as we will be doing the inauguration of your chapter. But for now, we really want you to be audible enough and be seen. So if you can really bring your mic close to your mouth, or even your device, if it's a laptop, but the team will be coming on the photo later on. Okay, thank you very much. You look wonderful. Our topic of today is promoting youth and adult literacy as an integral part of the national lifelong learning policies and systems. I'm going to start right at the peak. Today, I'm not starting at #1, I'm starting right at the top at #5. Now, each one of you just take 3 minutes and let us know what are the programs that you have put in place or you are thinking to put in place to be able to promote the youth and adult literacy, particularly because you are all in the range of the digital age. Thank you. I will start with you, South Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Princess Tepi. So what I am actually part of is that I'm part of an organization called Black Girl Reads, and it is a literacy organization that actually promotes literacy amongst our community. So what we do, because of actually work, so what we do is we work with primary schools and high schools in our local areas to promote literacy, because this is something that they're really lacking. So we also work with the teachers as well, who are an integral part of learning in school, but also their parents as well. So we try to incorporate both parents and child to ensure that maximum comprehension, because even in adults, the level of literacy is not really proper. So what we do is encourage literacy through reading, whether it's reading of novels, reading of textbooks. So any type of reading is what what we really advocate for. And also comprehension. We need to test, can you comprehend what the book is saying? Are you able to identify the certain figures of speech, amongst that, amongst that literature, amongst that space? Do you understand, in everything that when you read a book, you actually need to come through? So we look at reviews as well. We work with reviews to ensure that the young people that are actually reading can understand and can properly comprehend and are able to take what is important from the book and analyze the lessons as well, because that is in essence literacy, so that is how we promote literacy. I think I'm going to try to be short and concise so that I don't take up much time, but yes, that is my response. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is so very well said. So now if you can see, what we are doing here is so that we have the meat to take and we have programs to put in place, because your role, you have been put so that you can introduce it and be able to expand them in our countries. I hope we understand. So what you are saying is actually what you are going to be putting together and submitting, because those are the programs that we can take further and expand and be able to work from them. And we know that there will be, a rate. Let's hear from you, Mr. Corona. Other programs that you are doing to promote as our topic of today and as the YOUTHGETHER coordinator.
Can you come again?
what are the programs that you have in place or even thinking of doing if you are not involved yet to promote literacy among the youth and the adults, and particularly because you are in the age of the digital age? What are the programs?
Okay,
activity,
thank you.
whatever that you are doing in your community.
Okay, like I will start, for instance, in my community, the problems that I've figured out there and how I have combated them as a youth. In my community, I have combated so many problems as a youth. One I have to talk about here is the drainage, where the water is passed. We are having a lot of flooding in my own community because we are not taking good care of the drainage. So we expect flooding to take place in a flat land. So it sounds funny, but I think about it as a youth and meet the stakeholders and talk with them. That is my first project as a youth I prepared. So I turned out it with the stakeholders, and I thank God they see to it, they look at it, and they work on it. Now it's become a sustainable thing. Whether rain come 24 hours, there will be no flooding and there will be no damage in my community. And recently again, as a youth gather coordinator, I do prospecting in the slums area in my country, the most affected area in my country. And we planned, and I write a project again concerning that. We've already started the project where we are moving in different slums area to check what is affecting them. And the major thing that is affecting them is the climate, and then they are doing it. They don't have a proper drainage. So whenever rainfall, there will be a massive flooding. So we are working on it massively to see how best it will become a sustainable. It will become a sustainable thing for the flooding not to happen in the country as a whole again. And again, talking of the schools, I've already been that research, although I'm not yet done pertaining literacy. I can say in my country, there is a lot of illiteracy going on in the schools, which even the teachers, the staffs, and the authorities is not taking responsibility for that. I don't know if they probably they know the truth that some of these things are going on there, which is not relevant because the school going people won't plan anything. I don't know if they know the truth, but they are failing to reveal it. So we as a youth gather or as a country coordinator, I've looked at some of these issues, and my team have been proper research with going different schools. We are doing proper research about what we contain. And with all we've got is only one thing, that is the mentoring and orientation. And when I look at youth gather vision and mission, it states there clearly mentoring and orientation. We don't have nobody, no teachers or teachers or staff that are mentoring these people or orientate these people. So you find out that they are just learning because it's part of their syllabus, but at the end of the day, they become illiterate because they have nothing to show about their learning. They only show either papers or certificates, but their mindset is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
So please watch me when I go like this. When I go like this, that just know that your time is up. The 2 minutes is up. So please watch me as we speak. Cornelius, will you please come in? Do we still have Cornelius? Do we have Cornelius?
Yeah, I'm in.
You are in. Please,
I'm in, yeah.
Please do let us know about the programs that you're involved in. Yeah, did you hear me? The programs that you're involved in, if not the programs that you're already thinking of putting in place as the youth coordinator, as the youth gathered coordinator in Kenya, in promoting education among the youth and the adults, particularly to bridge this gap of the digital divide.
Thank you, Your Highness. Actually, problems are all over, and if I take for my case, for instance, Kenya, Actually, it is almost 1.5 years since I came to know about YOUTHGETHER, and I can say that it has really changed my life. It has really even helped me change the life of my colleagues, my fellow youths. And I would say that I'm challenged, not so much, but it comes at a time where we need to come together with my colleagues, but we come from very far, different places, different counties. For example, I'm in Kakamega County, and there is some of my colleagues in Nairobi. They are in different counties.
Yes.
So when we want to come together, it becomes a problem. Mostly
I will boost you.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we mute ourselves, please, if we are not the panelists, please? Can the Center for SDGs help us? Just hover on all mics and mute the mics that are on if they're not the panelists. Please, can I just make that request? Thank you. Yes, Cornelius.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. I thought, yeah, thank you. So as I was saying, sometimes when we say that financial problem is not really a problem, but actually it is a problem, we must just agree. So when we want to push our agendas forward, we really need to have some cash. And sometimes there is no people so willing to help us. For example, when we say that SDG for like education, equality in education, when we want to push this agenda, it becomes a problem whereby we need to come together as a team and make some donation and realistic evidence to our young ones in schools. For example, I have an idea of studying a motivational organization of youth so that we can walk around our counties, sensitizing our young brothers and sisters about how to take seriousness in education so that they secure a better future. So we really need to have sponsorship. We want all of you who are able to help us come on board. Let's uplift the talents of the youth. Number two is that sometimes volunteers are not there, I can say. When we introduce some ideas, some people don't take them seriously. And when you ask somebody to volunteer, it becomes like a challenge. I don't understand why people take it so difficult to volunteer for such like great information. For example, we have been asking individuals to register for this particular day so that we can hear from those brilliant speakers who have spoken before us. But youths are not willing to come on board to take this mantle as their own. So it becomes also a challenge, but we hope that we can going to work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We hope so. This is the challenge that I think all over in the region we are faced with. Thank you so much. My next question is, John Salve, taking at the backdrop of his presentation, he said, perhaps there is our system of education, the current system of education, it promotes memorization. It promotes memorization. So what do you think can be done to prepare the youth of the now for the future skills? If you think what we are learning now, the system and the standards of education, as you can tell me, what can be done to prepare us for a future? Because we do know for sure that statistics have been telling us that in the next few years, this all what we see now is not going to be needed. We need to prepare ourselves for the future. So I hope my question is clear. What do you think the current education system can help us to prepare for future skills or needed skills in future? Tembi.
Thank you very much for the question, Princess Tepi, and that is a very important one. And, I'll just start it here. Our educational systems are really failing us, especially as young people living in the fourth industrial revolution. In Africa, mostly, our schools are not equipped with the necessary technological applicances so that the young people will be able to equip themselves with necessary digital skills to be able to learn that digital era that we are living in right now. So there's a lot that's actually still lacking. And I mean, we speak about digital learning, but we're still even learning with failing with paper learning. Most of our schools in Africa do not have necessary resources for young people to be learning. Therefore, how are they going to be really? It's basically creating a method or a task of you just studying to pass. Not really to learn what the content that is there at school. You're not really, incorporating that within your life. And that's the one thing that as young people, we've really failed to do. We cannot take what we are learning in class into our lives because number one, maybe it's really not it's not age appropriate or it's not era appropriate, because as the times are moving, unfortunately the curriculum is not. So we're still staying with that inequalities and there's also serious inequalities when it comes to our schools in Africa. We're speaking about the average person that today does not even have or cannot operate a Zoom platform that we are on right now. How many young people are not joining us or cannot join us on this platform right now because they do not have access to data, they do not have access to these appliances because they do not know or they cannot afford. So the learning that is happening right now is really not equipping young people to be better leaders of tomorrow. I think it's creating, it's actually a problem that's currently happening right now. And I think what we can do about that is to, number one, be intentional about the content that is there to be learned in school. It needs to be current. We need to learn more about technology. We need to learn more about technological advances. We need to learn to be innovative, as opposed to just being told what to do. How are we supposed to think of new innovative ways if we're just going to be taught in one approach, whereas this student's talents and innovative ideas are not really going to be recognized because they are then given one syllabus, one learning material that just equips them to go to the next grade, but not a skill that will actually uplift them in life or in a challenge that they are going to be facing through life. So that's one of the problems. And I think that's what we need to do. Number one, we really need to have content that is, or content and learning that is really appropriate to our ages right now. We need to be able to learn to incorporate what we are learning to our current to our current social spaces. We need to learn things that are actually relevant, that are going to take us to the next level. We need to learn skills that are going to equip us and, equip us into being leaders, equip us into being doers instead of being followers, instead of trying to make us into a specific doctor, a specific teacher, how about we create new careers? How about we allow young people to be innovative to share their ideas, to be open to the ideas, because the current educational sphere does not allow young people to be innovative and to be vocal. They are taught one thing, all of them in the classroom. So how is that going to make sure that Ntabi Singh, who is a great thinker, can actually realize her potential in a classroom that is restrictive and that's only going to teach her a specific syllabus? I think I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Very well said. Al-Hassan, I'm going to pose a different one to you. How can we upgrade the current teachers or our lecturers to help the 21st century learners so that they become, they prepare them so that we also don't throw away the knowledge that they have and the experience that they have? How can we help them? How can we bridge that gap so that we bring them aboard and prepare for the future? We are talking about leaving nobody behind. We are talking about the Agenda 2030. We are talking about the Agenda 2063, of which it's going to be you guys that are going to be able to take this Agenda 20, into 2063. So how do we bridge that gap to bring the now teachers so that they don't repeat what Tembisile has just said, but to prepare you and the learners of now into the future? Al Hassan, are you there? We have the chancellors that are listening. We have the professors that are listening. And I would like us to really make it as practical as possible. Yes, we have chancellors, we have professors. All what we are saying, this is what we can be working on. Give to us. 3 minutes. Al Hassan?
Oh, please, can you come again? My network. Yeah, come again with the.
Is it me or is it, can you hear me? Cornelius? Cornelius?
I'm on.
Question.
I'm on, Cornelius.
I think it looks like he's frozen. Cornelius?
Yes, I can hear.
How do we equip the teachers to be able to prepare? And the teachers be teachers or tutors or lecturers be well equipped, able current education and prepare the youth for the future.
This Cornelius, if it is for me, can I respond?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Who's
Cornelius.
this? Cornelius. Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you can.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that in the beginning, I said I'm a student of education and I am a teacher in making a finalist student. I would really say that professors are doing a great work. Doctors are doing a great work in our universities, in our colleges, in our training institutes. And it's kudos to them. I really, of interruption was calling me. I was saying that I can't thank you enough, our professors, our doctors, and our academicians. I would like to say that to equip them so that they can be able to share their experiences with us who are still learning, is that maybe we can just motivate them. We can thank them from our hearts. We can emulate them. We can be, we can make them feel that they are our role models. The problem in our institutions is that in Africa, our institutions are congested. And for a lesson, for a lecture, let me say, for a lecture to be effective, it becomes a problem because one professor is, take for instance, in my university, one professor is lecturing a number of over 600 learners. And you come to a point that the learner or the student who is sitting at the far end just loses focus in the class and goes on the phone, status WhatsApp and whatever, because he or she cannot be able to follow, to make a follow-up with what the lecturer is teaching. So for us to make sure that lecturers and our tutors deliver in our lectures in our schools is to reduce the number of, to make the number of learners accessible, effective. Let's lessen the number of students per lesson. And number 3, I can say that our government, our institutions, sometimes we have a problem of remuneration. When we are giving our lecturers and our tutors their remunerations, we do it on time. so that they feel motivated, they feel up to the task, so that they don't give these students supplementaries and specials, giving them hard time to graduate. You find out that, for instance, in that number of 1,000 students don't finish their studies because they have missing marks, they have specials to attend to, they have been given supplementaries, not that because they failed, but because the number of students that the lecturer is taking is too much. So it becomes that the lecturer is tired. So I can say that we can think together, we can sit together, let the doctors, the senates of the different colleges and universities sit together and make sure that the learning is effective. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm back. Hassan, Hassan, you back?
Yeah.
I think.
Al Hassan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What help the youth that is unemployed, even if it's the youth that are graduates, to be involved in the programs in their communities that are promoting education? How can government help the unemployed youth to be in programs that are promoting education? Three minutes.
Okay. Our government to look at those people, let me say the unemployed youth, to be part of nation building. I think it's by creating a platform wherein to showcase their innovative ideas. Because in my country, there are so many youth who are not graduates or even do not attend school. Although I can say they attend primary level, but from secondary to tertiary, they don't. I know most of them, but they are very creative. And seriously, I am learning a lot from them. So if only the government, the authorities can create a platform, a learning innovation for those people, I think my country per se can be developed through those people, because they are youth. They are very creative. I know majority of youth in my country, where some of them are my friends, they are very, when you come in terms of creativity, they are very creative. But because the government and they are not creating the opportunities for them, they are not laying the platform they're supposed to lay for them. At the end of the day, we find them either in the ghetto or somewhere which is not relevant. So the lack of proper thinking by the end. But I think the government has a key role to play in that. And the only key role it's by creating the platform for them to think innovatively, because they have the idea, but the lack of the opportunities, and they are no one to either consoling them, telling them thank you on what they are doing, or probably give them reward at the end of the day on what they are doing. Majority of the time, I normally write projects for this youth, but when I tender it to the government, I normally don't get feedback again. So I too feel ashamed that what am I going to tell this youth that I have prepared this project for? What am I going to tell them? Because they are very creative, but the authorities, the government are not laying the platform for them. More especially, you are finding these things in Africa, wherein the youth, we have the ideas, we have the innovative ideas, we have the effort and the time to push my country or to push Africa go before, but the government, the authorities are not laying the platform for us. So it's very, very challenging for us to showcase because at the end of the day, we are not getting recommended or neither being rewarded for that. So this one way the youth are lacking behind in my country because the government are not paying attention to them. But if the government pays attention to them by creating opportunities for them, creating a platform for them, innovative ideas will pop up. So I think this is one way we can combat this issue.
Our final word done. We are done. We are done. We are done. Our word.
Princess, I
Each
think
one of
the
us
Ghana.
would like things. We are done.
Hello. I think the Ghana.
Yes,
the
yes,
Ghana. The guy from Ghana is coming in now, having some challenges. If you can give him the 2 minutes, I told him to call in 1 minute.
Okay. So let's easy in Abiola.
He's calling
Abiola
in
James.
now.
Okay. All our panelists, think of your final 2 points.
I don't know if I'm the only one that can't hear Princess Tebi or see her.
Oh, as Princess out network.
Okay, I think she was asking us for our closing remarks. Was she? Maybe I can just start and then maybe she'll just be back. I don't know. Chancellor?
Yeah, but that was before we had that Agboli from Ghana who is joining in. So let's see if we can take 2 minutes of Agboli and then you can take next.
I think maybe while we wait, just to answer one of the questions that was also asked to the other panelists is what can the teachers and what can the lecturers do? I think it's really important to have a more individualistic approach to this question, and this encourages the student to be able to think individualistically. Okay, here is. Okay, let me just finish this point. But this ensures that the child can think as an individual and ensures that their potential can be realized. And this can be done by asking the children, instead of saying, what do you want to be in the future? Maybe we can look at the manner in which we ask the question and we can say, what do you like to do? And then we can ensure that what the child likes to do is what can now be identified as the point in a mind map, and those careers around that can actually be looked at, because that will ensure that not only will it advocate for literacy, but also as literacy is the foundation for everything. That career that the child gets in will be one that they'll be passionate about and they'll be eager to do more in that specific career. So I will just maybe stop there.
Yeah, as we wait, I have Princess Bam, who is a teacher. Can you be on video and make a brief intervention regarding teaching and learning in solving literacy, in teaching for literacy? Princess Bam, can you? Yes. Good. Okay.
Greetings, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors, the panelists. Like you, Doctor, to actually repeat the question for me.
Okay, a minute. I know
Yes,
as a teacher, yeah, as a teacher, there are some challenges in starting to teach about reading and writing. Can you share those challenges and then give us a suggestion how we can overcome such challenges?
All right. I think some of the challenges have been highlighted by the speakers. Having crowded classrooms, poor infrastructure, not having connections in our rural areas. For instance, even if we can actually have this kind of lessons with the kids, they wouldn't even connect, because we have seen those challenges even during the lockdown. Some learners were able to do online lessons, but in rural areas, no connection at all. Even if you can sacrifice and buy data for our children, there's still a problem with the network. Even myself, I stay in the cities, but if I'm home, I cannot be as active as I become. Like when I'm here, I just go there for a break, for a refreshment, to detox, because I know that I cannot be active as much as I would wish to be. So I think the other reason, some of the other things that we are really facing currently is that, as Mr. Mbisile mentioned, the purpose. Our learners are just going to school these days, and you find that they are just there, they are so tired. It's a shame, like yesterday, now we are alternating, kids come and they skip a day, they don't come. So like others were like, yo, I'm so tired of school. I'm like, you guys are only doing grade 10 and you're already tired of school. What is it that you're really doing at home? Because for us, school was the best place to be. That is where you are with your friends, you are playing. But now you wonder, what is it that these kids are actually doing if they are not at school? Why would such a young child like feel like I no longer wish to be at school? So it actually worries me a lot, because the discipline, the behavior that we're experiencing now, the kids don't want to come every day. Since we started this alternative, they don't want to come. It's because some of them, they really don't know why they have to be at school. Do I blame them? No. Sometimes I really don't want to blame these kids, because we haven't actually had a curriculum that is helping and skilling our children. Like Princess was asking, yeah, what is it that can be done to give these learners some skills? People are watching. The young people are graduates. They are not working. So what is motivating kids to be at school? Why can't we teach skills? Why can't we make the learners do something that will develop their skills and create opportunities for them? So that is basically the challenge that I have. I teach math literacy at school. So it's very difficult for me, because like currently we are doing measurements. When some of the examples is like counting the number of tiles that you want to use in a classroom, or the paint that you want to use. So you can tell that these kids are not active. They are not hands-on. They don't really do anything at home, because there is that common sense that is not there. Like they can't imagine, they can't picture what you are talking about. So I always tell them, like, look guys, math literacy is about practicality, is about what you do every day. It's about counting money. It's about going to a shop, weighing some grams of meat, doing this and doing that. And you come to class, you don't have to sort of think far from the reality. Now I must identify the problem, whether you cannot read English or you don't really understand what KG is. So I'm facing those challenges, So there is a lot that we experience, especially as educators. Motivation is not there. Skills are not there. Our kids are not exposed to real life. And those that are exposed, like in the rural areas, I think there's an issue of infrastructure as well. There's an issue of visualizing some of the things that they are learning, so that they can see that, look, if I'm teaching about a plant, it's the same plant that is growing in the garden. So there's no difference. So then we can start being practical, because now we chase a speaker was talking about learning here and education. We are chasing curriculum, we are chasing syllabus, we are chasing assessment. What is it that we are assessing, you know? So for me, it will be nice even if in the foundation phases, like other countries are doing, will not be assessing the kids in terms of tests and exams and talk about them having not achieved or failed, because the tool is not correct. The tool that you are using for assessment is not correct. And having a child to repeat a grade is demotivating that child. When I was doing a language course at VETS, when I was doing my master's, I actually learned something that it never came to my mind, that our kids, whether they repeat a class or they proceed to the next class, what they're going to learn there, they might capture it than the content that they were learning in the previous class. So then from there, I could not see a reason why these kids should fail. Because even when we teach them in grade 10 from grade 9, they still cannot remember some of the things they did in grade 9. So if we just teach them what you're supposed to teach them in grade 10, they will pass regardless of their performance in the previous grade. So that is how bad our curriculum could be. Like pass one, pass all can still be very effective. I mean, for me, as an educator, I still don't see reasons, because a child can still improve in the next grade depending on the content and the understanding of the language that is being used. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Princess, you're back over.
Thank you.
I think.
Yes, thank you so much.
So you end this.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
yes, yes.
so
Sorry about that. Technology works when it wants, and it's always beautiful. Right. As we wrap up with people, what can all the institutions that are involved in this, what can they do? We want to copy from other countries. Finland has reached the level of 100% literacy rate. Norway, so, and many others. We would like to learn from them. Even taking from here, we can go and learn from them. But what can all the stakeholders do for us? What do you think? Each one of us take a minute to just give us a point. It can be done. There are methods that I have seen when I was searching a bit, but I would like to hear from you, from your heart. What can be done? To be able to have the same to join us. Al-Hassan.
Yes.
Al-Hassan, 2 points.
Yes. Okay, I think what can be done. What's the question again? It is for the stakeholders of what? Sorry.
Every government, whether it's our universities, anybody, particularly government, from your point of view, what do you think can be done to help the situation so that we can reach the 100% literacy level? Because that's what our goal is. Tembi, do you have the answer? Let's go to Tembi. Al-Hassan.
It's okay. by collaborating with the youth, the authorities, the government, the lecturers. In the university, the lecturers, the administration should collaborate with the students.
Great, thank
that
you.
way they will know actually what problem is they are facing.
Collaboration. Thank you so much. Tembi?
Thank you very much, Princess Tepi. I think that the lessons learned over the recent decades have shown that meeting the goal of universal literacy calls not only for more effective efforts, but also for renewal of political will and doing things differently at all our levels. So locally, nationally, and internationally. As the previous speaker said, collaboration, but also policy making. We also need to change the settings, improve syllabus, let it be relevant to the current socioeconomic status, include technological era. We are in the 4th industrial revolution. Our children need to learn around that. Sort out the problems that our children at schools are having: teenage pregnancy, abuse, bullying, all those things are having at school actually do create an environment where environment that is not conducive for children to learn, for children to excel in their studies. Focus on an individual approach that ensures that the child is able to, that you're able to identify the skill within the child and not specifically just identify a lesson within them. Let them know that there are specific skills that can take them somewhere, and not that education in itself is the only thing that will lead them to success. Upskill them and ensure that in upskilling them, they have lessons learned. Encourage reading. Let's have book clubs. Let's have book reviews. Ensure that everyone is reading, everyone is participating. Books are not just for the specific people. There's every type of books. If you are into agriculture, there's agricultural books. If you're into anything, there's a book for that. Let's encourage reading. Let's be a society that reads and that writes. Thank you so much. I'm just rushing against time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Cornelius, 2 points.
Thank you.
What can be done?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm more than ready. So, one, I think we need to change our system of education. If we relate our systems of education and make some research, you can really agree that people are tired with the systems of education. I would like to congratulate my country, Kenya, because the Ministry of Education, for the past 2 years, 3 years, they have changed the system of education, and it is in practice. We are embracing what we call competency-based curriculum, CBC, which will change the system of education so that learners are learning what we call the practical skills, hands-on type of education. We can also encourage our leaders and our government to introduce free education, which is in my country. Let it not be free education, as Professor PLO Lumumba said in one of his talk, that it is free indeed, free of knowledge, so that our education has no knowledge. No, let it be free, but full of knowledge, so that everybody can get access to education. Number 3, we can also introduce relevance and practicability of the concepts being taught in school. Let the learners know that whatever concept is being taught, whatever they're learning is applicable in real life situation. Because when you teach learners about Pythagorean theory, for example, if it is mathematics, and you don't really tell them what is this Pythagorean theory. So another thing we can introduce is change in the teaching methodologies. Let's introduce methodologies of teaching in a way that whatever that the approach that teachers use in school is learner-friendly, so that we change the attitude of education, attitude towards mathematics, attitude towards sciences, chemistry, biology in schools, so that learners, when you introduce a particular topic, when a particular teacher steps in a class with that particular subject, the learner is said, the learner is motivated to take seriousness in the lesson. I think if we do that, we can assure ourselves that we will move mountains. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I was supposed to give some few minutes to Ghana.
It's not there. James, can you close, please? It's not there. He's not here.
So fine. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to all the panelists. What we have is that from Princess Nikki, where she said so. I'm also at the presentation on substance. We are not enjoying, or as children, learners are not enjoying what they are doing. They are not enjoying the journey, and therefore the teachers also, in turn, they are not the journey. The speakers have also mentioned motivation for the teachers as well, as far as compensation is concerned. What I learned as well today is all of you, you have given us so much to work. You have given us your hearts. You have given us really want to know that through your eyes and through your mouth, this is what our countries need. This is what our continent need. We have learned that all countries that are in, they have done through making sure that put a budget on action in their government, in their administration. That there is a lot of budget is put on all the programs and within the education department. They also have made education to be compulsory from 6 years to 16 years old. So we can learn from that. And also they have also some other countries, they have put in the leadership skills in there. They've put in financial skills in there, business management skills in there. That's what we're talking about. Others have put the innovative, putting in the fourth industrial revolution in there. And we all have summed and spoke all these points that we can get to other, and all the professors can be able to lobby and say, this is what our youth need going forward. This is what our learners need going forward. This is what our adults need going forward. We will win. We will reach and we leave nobody behind, expanding even into the rural areas. Thank you very much for the platform. Thank you very much for participating. And thank you very much for the time. Thank you to all the organizers. And from all of us, we say, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. So we all can just say, thank you. To all my panelists, vibrant panelists, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cornelius.
Thank you also for the opportunity.
Thank you so very much. And thank you, Princess, for your attendance. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Time for us to change gear a little bit. Let's go into an aspect of the program today that brings us all the convenience of joy. We have been working with so many country programs, South Africa, Kenya, and a host of others. Today, we will officially launch the chapter that has seemingly been very active all this while, and then provide a space for some entertainment. I did in the Banerjee with the YOUTHGETHER Global Poet Laurel will read her poem and share some video, and also we'll take some video entertainment from the chapters. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite my friend, my colleague, my excellent ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Dupont Bannister, the DG for Youth, Musical, Cultural Affairs, and International Consulting Cabinet Member, Your Excellency, Ambassador Devon.
Good afternoon, good morning, good day to each and every one of you. Thank you very much, Prince Dr. Osita.
No, we are not seeing your face very well.
Oh, well,
the sun, there's so much light on your left here.
There's some light coming from that window there. I'm trying to hide, like get out of it, but I can't really get out. So just you can view my picture that's there. Yes. Let me say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to each and every one of you, depending on whichever part of the world you're listening to us.
Ambassador, I'm sorry, this is an official assignment. We need to see your face.
Because of the lighting, it won't be possible.
You just have to, because it's a policy assignment, and you know we don't do that in the vacuum.
And you know, I very well do share, but I will turn it on. I hope.
Yeah, turn it on. Let's go like that.
Let's go like that. Thank
you.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. No problem. Yes. Is that better? All right, good. We had a little bit of a glare, I think, as well. Yes.
Yes, you have grown now.
To the leadership of leadership of YOUTHGETHER Global, Chancellor Dr. Ado Kika, as well as His Royal Highness Prince Dr. Osita, the board of directors and governors for YOUTHGETHER Global, and all of the coordinators from all the various countries, all of the wonderful special invited guests, all of the wonderful speakers that spoke before. Let me say thank you very much for speaking. Thank you very much for coming and sharing your input. in this time of literacy and how we can be able to help where education is concerned across the globe. I must recognize one of the previous speakers, Reverend Diego Alfonso. He is the Senior Gender Affairs Officer, Gender Affairs Bureau for the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security in the country of Guyana, South America. He's representing Guyana, his ministry, as well as Magban Arts. So let me say thank you very much, Reverend Diego, for speaking, and as well to all of the other speakers. Education is I love to say this. One, I grew up hearing this saying, and some people take offense by it. But if I had taken offense by it, I would not have been where I am today. I grew up hearing an old man say, he's passed away, but he used to always say to us, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Education is vital, it's key. And people tend to pry on people limit when it comes to education. So if they feel that, well, someone is not fully educated, then they abuse them. And that is something that has been happening a lot throughout the world when it comes to young people. And especially now we're seeing it, whereby one set is educated and the other set are not educated. And as we try to encourage others to get the education, to get the knowledge that they need, a lot of them, they even though they want to, there's a lot of roadblocks, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of things that's preventing them from gaining the knowledge, from advancing, from tackling education. The coronavirus, the pandemic that we faced last year, that is still trying to run us down even now in 2021. I've discovered one thing when it comes to that. The pandemic didn't really disrupt our education system. It didn't. I know many of you might disagree with me, but if you see it from my perspective, it did not disrupt the education system. What it did, it showed up the education system. So in other words, yes, prior to the pandemic, there's a lot of things that we swept under the rug. There's a lot of things that we overlooked. There's a lot of things that governments, countries didn't pay attention to. Even parents didn't pay attention to it. And what the pandemic did is when it arrived, it basically removed the rug and show everything, show all of the faults, show all of the areas in which we as parents and youngsters as well choose not to address. So again, I say it didn't disrupt our education system. It didn't cause a problem. It just revealed the problem that's already there that everyone refused to look at throughout the time. So one of the things that it blocked was quality education. One of the things that was blocked was quality education, and the pandemic showed that quality education. And if we were to look at today's society, if you were to make a comparison between the United States, the developed countries, and the countries that are not so fully developed, I don't want to say underdeveloped because the countries are developed, but they might be a bit underdeveloped. They're not fully developed as yet. But if you were to weigh the balance, the cost you're going to pay for education in a developed country and the cost you're going to pay for education in a country that is not fully developed as yet, has not reached its peak, it's very different. It's very different. You're getting the same knowledge, but then at the same time, who is gaining more knowledge? One, even though one might be cheaper than the other, the level of the knowledge that you would get would be way behind than the other countries that are not fully developed. I'll give you a prime example. I'm a Guyanese by birth as well. When I left my country, I had completed high school. So when I got to the United States, there was no need for me to return to high school. I was in my 20s. But when I got here and I presented my my education, my CXC certificate to show that I've completed high school, they looked at me and they said to me, you have to go back to high school and get a GED. In my mind, I'm like, you're telling me I need to go back to high school when I've completed high school already. When I've examined the work that they've done and that they're doing in the high school at the time when you're supposed to complete high school, those are things that I did when I was in third farm. Or should I say grade 8, grade 9, around there. So to tell me that education is fair and balanced across the board, it's not. It's not. And with the YouthGether Global initiative, with the YouthGether Global looking to shed that light and give youths the opportunity to create their own narrative, to write your own story, to position yourself that you of yourself can be able to make the change, you of yourself can be able to set the path that you want, to get that recognition, to gain that understanding, then it is clear that you will have the support of the YouthGether Global community. And I want to say that for those of you who are already, the countries that are already on board, I want to encourage you to set yourself in such a way that you can be able to lend a helping hand to others within your country. When I was in high school, again, I helped a lot of my friends. Likewise, a lot of my friends, they helped me. We supported each other in some way or the other. One thing I know for sure is this. We all want to get to somewhere. Or it's like anyone who have a business plan. We all want to get to somewhere. Everyone wants to reach the finish line. But there's two things we have to look at. One, we will need a resource and we need ID. One person might have the resources, the other person might have the ID. If the two can find that common ground to come together and work together, they can be able to achieve, they can be able to work together and finish together. And that is something that you learn in education. If you get the education, if you position yourself that you can receive that knowledge, it would really help you to get to that place. So for the chapter of Sierra Leone that is coming on board, I want to encourage you to take the time to identify your resources and identify your ideas and outline them. Say, these are my resources, these are my ideas. You might not have the idea, but you know of someone or another youth that have the idea. You might not have the resources, but you might know of someone that has the resources. You write that down. You bring the two together and you work to the common good. And this is not just for Sierra Leone, but this is for all the other countries' coordinators as well. Take this initiative and run with it and watch and see how it would really, really, really help you. Remember that the mission of YouthGether Global is to engage youth for the decade of action. So it's time for action. We as youths, we sit and we wait on people to give us that command or to say to us, okay, it is time. Some of you have that fire. You have that fire inside of you. You have that passion. You have that zeal. Run with it. Run with it. Find, like I said, resource and ID. Find someone that has either the resource or the ID, whichever one that can fuel what you have, and you merge together and you run with it because it is time for action. So to the chapter for Sierra Leone, let me welcome you officially to YouthGether Global. As you come on board, I wish you all the best, and I hope that you will serve with excellence, and you will lead by example. You will show others. You see, one of the things that I encourage everyone to do is to try to develop a model that you can take and say, hey, here's a model that I've developed and it worked for me. How about if you try it? And watch and see how it can you can get that ripple effect. The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. There's no boundary. There's no finish line. Sorry, there's not finish line. There's no boundary, or there's no end to say that, well, you have to stop there. No, if you see the opening, if you see the way, if you see that, well, hey, I can make a difference in this area of education, I can make a difference in this community, then you set yourself and you position yourself and you run. Say that, well, you have to stop go after it. No. If so you see, with that being said, I want to say that, well, hey, I can make a difference in this area. To the chapter I can make early on, welcome, and you set yourself and you position yourself and you African region. Have to stop. I wish you all the best. With that being said, forward as you begin your journey here, YouthGether Global, on this wonderful day. So the chapter is really on. Welcome and thank you very much. With that being said, forward as you begin your journey here, YouthGether Global, on this wonderful day. So the chapter is really on. Welcome and thank you very much. With that being said, forward as you begin your journey here, YouthGether Global, on this wonderful day.
I want to thank you so specially, Your Excellency, Ambassador Devon Bannister, YouthGether Global Africa Region. We just inaugurated the Sierra Leone chapter, engaging youth and students of Sierra Leone for the UN YouthGether faction. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Madam Chancellor, for insisting on doing this today. And I want to show special gratitude to His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Devon Bannister himself for using his personal experience to encourage the youth of Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is a special country in West Africa, and like I said in our last event, it will be the first country that I'll visit as chairman of the Governing Council, so that I can work with Alhassan Koroma and his team to begin something special for Africa from the West African continent. I want to thank you again, Your Excellency, Dr. Devon Bannister, for your excellent work inaugurating the new chapter for YouthGether Global on the continent. We have 3 more chapters in the next event: South Sudan, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So please get ready to join us. You know, we are growing, and we're hoping that by the end of this month, we would have done as much as we have planned to do. Thank you, gentlemen from Sierra Leone, Koroma Ahazan and his cohort, and thank you, Dr. Ada, for this excellent work today. Thank you all. Next, we want to introduce for the first time the YouthGether Global Poet Laureate. Aditi is a brilliant poet. She joined YouthGether Global as a poet in the last couple of months, and believe me, what excites me about her will definitely excite you. She's a YouthGether Global youth that has become a youthism from the day we met her and heard her speak her poetry to the rest of the world. Aditi? Aditi, you have to unmute your microphone.
Yeah.
And Dr. Ada, Aditi is going to need permission to share her screen.
I think I have permission.
Go ahead.
You have the permission, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start by reading a poem without my screen. And thank you so much for that introduction. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to speak here. I wanted to share a poem that I wrote on the topic of literacy and kind of how this evolving digital world is going to shape how we learn, I guess. And especially me as a 16-year-old, it is definitely something that's very important to me, because I myself am still in the education system, and a lot of what's been said today has definitely resonated with me. So I'll start my poem. Screens have separated us from the human touch, and yet connected those of us separated by seas and disease, bridging divides and building connections. Loved ones have never been so close and simultaneously out of reach. Today, we celebrate literacy and the power of language to teach. As we word worth into untold stories, writing empowerment in the ink of our classrooms, boardrooms, pandemic bedrooms turned schools, who've used technology as tools for education to pen legacies educating the next generation of children who are holding and owning knowledge as their most powerful possession. In our future of collective progression into infinite possibilities within our world of growing literacy. Thank you. And if I could also share another poem which is on the topic of hope, which is slightly separate from the amazing discussions that have been had today, but might be a nice thing to kind of leave us with as a positive uplift. So I'll try and share my screen. Please let me know if this works.
Go ahead.
Can you see my screen? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. Where hope is born. Newborns only see up to 30 centimeters in front of their face. The rest is a blur of light, shape, and movement. The world's first lesson is to tell you that you can never see the future clearly, only just enough to let you know it's worth the walk. Hope could take on a life of its own, grow legs and walk to the local cafe, leave a piece of itself at the coffee table for the next caffeine-consuming customer at Starbucks, engrave its initials in the bark of a tall oak for two unassuming starstruck young loves at the park, and hope is believing in the wonderful right up until the end credits. This is a long film called life, so bring some popcorn and pack plenty of hope in your purse, pockets, palms. Share it with everything you touch and watch them smile with a full heart. Hope will bury itself in a bookmark and Gulliver's travel into the curls of a page. Rest in the spine of a classic tale until it's swallowed by the shallow breath of a girl, murmuring each word sat inside her own shadow, absorbed in paper, bound by imagination. Bound and gifted, hope is in a locket passed down generations. Lost and found at a charity store, at a thrift shop, at a doorstep to your next opportunity. It leaves behind footsteps in the sand that can't be washed away by the tide. It's scattered through the beach and gently seeps into your stride. Here, I have been playing hide and seek with the sun, and this is a finest disappearing act. And yet, somewhere on the flip side of this globe is a gleaming trophy belonging to the sky. It shines, beaming, I won. And here, even in the sheet of darkness, I know the sun will come home and hug my window frame by morning. This hope, it is in new life. It is finding new in the old. It is the heartbeat that keeps the soul of time alive. It's an untraveled road. It's a storm and the rainbow. Shaking hands, sharing stories, making a pact to play Chinese whispers with wonder. Pass the parcel with joy. Add laughter to the clouds, the next recipe of rain. Let the world be sprinkled by hope, and we will call this a new day. Call this change, growth. Hope is not knowing what the world will look like tomorrow, but knowing it will be better than today. In the first 3 minutes following the birth of the universe, the light elements like hydrogen and helium were formed in the last 3 minutes. The universe expanded about 1,000 miles. Hope is believing everything is growing, even when we don't see it, know it. Even in a blur of light, shape, and movement, did you feel that? The universe just grew beneath your feet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. When Hope is Born, Aditi, the YOUTHGETHER Global Poet Laureate. Thank you. Next, let's look at collective support. Collective support. The Chancellor of YOUTHGETHER Global, Ambassador Dr. Ado Kika, will now speak to us about coordinated and sustained collective report, advocacy, and knowledge management. Your Excellency, Madam Chancellor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the YOUTHGETHER Global South Africa, and to all the speakers that were able to speak to us today. Today is really an interesting day, the International Literacy Day. And literacy is one of the challenges of development across nations. Because the problem is when we talk about literacy, we only talk about English language. And I don't think that is the only challenge we have in reading and writing. I know if I ask Hassan, how many dialects or languages do you have in Sierra Leone? Maybe none of the team will be able to say the number. Just like myself in Nigeria, we only know about the three major languages. But that is not the only language you have. We have about 500 and something dialects in Nigeria. So but when we talk about literacy, we are looking at English language. But that is not all. And I want us to understand that globally, we are literally disabled. We are having literacy disability across nations. Most of us can speak their dialect, but they cannot even write it. They can't read it. They can use it to communicate, their mother tongue, their native language, but they cannot write it and they cannot read it. This is a challenge. When we talk about International Literacy Day, we have to look at the world languages. Your community language, your mother tongue language, how can you read and write? How can we communicate in my dialect, in my native language, in the social media, among ourselves? Because one thing we should all know is that when you learn in your native language, in your native vernacular, the understanding and the learning impact is so great. It's so easy. But when we keep on reading borrowed language, learning in borrowed language, reading and writing in borrowed language, we find it difficult. Cornelius was able to say the Pythagoras theory. What is Pythagoras in my language? You start a child who is 2 years in my village in a school. He or she starts with A is apple, Z is zebra. 2 years old. So we are having some literacy challenges. We are truly literacy disabled. I thank God for Professor Obiozo that brought that dimension. Literacy disability is what is cutting across nations, communities. And it's time for us to begin to make impact. It's time for us to begin to use our skills, our creativity to address some of these things. We cannot wait for government all the time. If we are able to read and write and speak, through our vernacular, through our mother tongue. We are developing ourselves to be. We are learning to be. We are learning to do. We are learning to know, and we are learning to live together. Take, for instance, there are some people, greeting is hi. It means a lot. In my culture, you can't come and say an elder hi or use left hand to greet an elder. It's a bullet. It's a taboo. It's disrespectful. So we need to learn our culture. We need to learn our dialect, our language in the community, so that we can be able to use it as at when do. There is this idea that when you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. If you are in a place where they use left hand to say hi, you do it. When you are in a place where they use right hand, because you know about the language, because you know about the culture, because you know about the literacy there, you use the right thing. This our generation, we are used the generation, the age of YouthGether Global. Is the age that we are looking at sustainability. The African Union is talking about 2063 agenda. The UN is talking about 2030 agenda. We are looking at the decade of action. We are looking at the overall sustainability. And literacy is a problem. So let us begin to address some of these issues. Open our hearts to go in to learn some of these languages. Begin to read and write in various languages. It is a bullet. I regret today that I missed learning French. And it has sort of stampeded me where I really wanted to be at the diplomatic level. Because there are opportunities I'll say you must have French language. So let us expand our literacy horizon and begin to plug in, keep busy. One of the panelists mentioned about skills, creativity of youth and how they are not given opportunity. We all know at YouthGether Global, we have entrepreneur skill initiative. And that is why we are pulling you together to come in so that you explore your creativity potential or inherent skills. We are giving you a platform to come and do it. So stop running away from whenever we do enter those kind of YouthGether programs, because it gives you the strength. Look at how many chapters are we, how many people are able to log in. You might mention about network, you might mention about the time, you might mention about data, but that is not enough. Priority is a priority. We need to take ourselves what we want to do to contribute to the community as young people. It's not the fault of the government, so we should stop blaming government. We have to come up. I know of one student here in a college. He is into a university in America without loan, not even on scholarship. He is feeding himself. He has a program online that has more than 3 million people. He pays his school fees. Full-time student. So your creativity can make you stop looking at government. And it can recognize, you can identify you if they are consistent with it. But most important thing is, let us enhance, improve on our literacy programs. It's very, very important. So how can we do? How can we do to improve on our literacy? Let us introduce reading and writing in our social media platforms. You can decide to communicate today in English. Tomorrow you can decide to communicate in another language or vernacular. Let us begin to improve literacy, reading and writing. Let us tell the spirit that literacy is only English language. It is not. Every language, we need to improve on reading, writing, and speaking words. Let us introduce community reading and writing outreach. While in Nigeria, I used to have one auntie, she said, oh, if I had known how to read and write, I will be sitting on the same table with Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. At her age, about 70-something years, and she was regretted she didn't know how to read and write. If I had known how to read and write, I'll be sitting with this person. I'll be here. I'll be there. I would have been a lawyer if I had known how to read and write. My maternal grandmother said if she will come back to life again, she will carry pen, which means she wants to read and write. So let us begin, reach out to the community, marketplaces, older people, introduce reading and writing, not necessarily in English, in their own native language. You can know how to speak your language, you can know how to convert, but you won't be able to write and read. So it's a challenge in our community. Let us adopt a reading and writing culture in older languages and dialects and improve on our personal vocabulary. It is very, very important. Personal vocabulary. In Nigeria, that will have 36 states and capital. The language, the vocabulary, even the dialects are different. Myself and Prince Oster, we always come from the same part of the country, but his dialect is different from my own. If he speaks the Igbo language, I will not hear. So this is a challenge to us as YOUTHGETHER Global. Let us sit up and do what we got to do. And also build their personal dictionary. Always build their personal dictionary. Because by the time you are knowledgeable in at least 20 languages, you are building your personal dictionary. And you can be able to translate them in English whenever you want to speak. If you know what this means in a Sierra Leone language, in Igbo language, Yoruba language, at least 5 languages, when you want to speak, you can easily translate it to English words. Because English is our usual teaching college, university, school language. We agree, but we should not kill our mother tongue. We should not kill our native language. This is very, very important. I want to encourage our Hassan Koroma for your team, for what you are doing. Government did not recognize you, but YOUTHGETHER Global recognized you, and that is why we have been able to be inaugurated as a chapter. I would not be happy that you come down from that. I want you to move on to that. You have media programs, introduce literacy programs through the media in your various dialects in Sierra Leone. Bring it up to discussion. Discuss issues, bring youth to be able to read and write. Organize reading and writing competition among schools in your country. Do as if in what's the capital of Sierra Leone? If the language is different from a village in Sierra Leone, organize school exchange programs. Yeah, Freetown, yes, Freetown. Organize, which other towns in Sierra Leone? Organize Mokebi community. Introduce community language, exchange school program, competition of schools on literacy. Let this community bring their language, let this community bring their language, let these children from this school bring their language. And then you do inter-school literacy programs. So that by next year, September 8th, we have a profile to be proud of. I want to encourage you, I know a lot of us are tired and the time is running, it's getting late in some areas, but we have a lot to do. Queue up, get your members to activities, but don't be anti-government, please. We are never anti-government. Rather, we are using our creativity to promote what government is doing. I thank you and I congratulate you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Want to clap?
Yeah, can we clap? Can we clap for Sierra Leone chapter? Can we please clap for all of you?
For the new chapter, for the new YOUTHGETHER Global chapter, Al Hassan Koroma and the Sierra Leone chapter.
Thank you so much. I can see how
you.
beautiful you guys are looking. I want you to
You guys
take
have done well with your
I want
Youth Gather
you to
Global t-shirt.
I want you to take a group photograph after this with your t-shirt and share it on the platform today.
Please, don't forget to do that. Yes, thank you.
Yes, please.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Your Excellency, the Chancellor. That has been the most profound speech ever. And we are coming to the end of the program. We are coming to the end of the program. For everything, there's a season. There's a time to launch the Youth Gather Global International Literacy Day. And there's a time to end the day. Literacy for youth-centered recovery, narrowing the digital divide, and the inauguration of Youth Gather Global Sierra Leone chapter. We want to say that we have done well in the last 1 year of Youth Gather Global. And a major announcement here is that next month, October 11th, is the day of a girl's child. And that's when we take our formal 1 year anniversary. What we did on August 12th was the day of first mention. That was when it was birthed. The real anniversary is October, and at that point, Youth Gather Global Sierra Leone will have a major event. So also with Kenya, so also with South Africa. And if we have a good time, we might be able to launch Youth Gather Global South Sudan, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Technology, it's not a panacea for malfunctioning learning. We had all that today. That central to quality technology-enabled literacy learning is the adoption of an appropriate type of technology to support good teaching approach, learning content, assessment, and certification. Having said that, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all people present here today. I want to especially, very, very specially thank my sister, the princess from South Africa, who is Secretary General for Youth Gather Global. I want to thank Her Excellency, the Chancellor of Youth Gather Global, Dr. Adele Kika. I want to thank my new friend, the man from Magban called Diego Alfonso, and my friend and personal colleague from the University of Nnamdi Azikiwe in Awka, Professor William Obiozo, my friend John Savage, the poet laureate for Youth Gather Global, RDT, of course, Al Hassan Corona, Tembi, and the Chief Cornelius Achimani. I want to thank Dr. Vanessa Devon, all of you for attending today's program. Today is International Literacy Day, and Youth Gather Global has done well to host all of you, and we thank you for coming. And we also thank you in advance for the new invitation that we're going to send to you to attend our anniversary next month. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. God bless you all. And please stay well and stay safe. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. God bless you all. And please stay well and stay safe.
God bless you all.
19th century, the Mandan Charter was proclaimed in Kurukan Fuga.
Thank you.
Advocating the principles of liberty and dignity.
Thank you all. God bless you all.
Of culture, heritage, literature, music, film. The Mandan Charter was proclaimed in Kurukan Fuga.
Thank you.
Shows that Africa.